animal welfare scientist.
Animal welfare scientist.
Studies,
Do they use science and studies and research to assess animal welfare within animals? Do they use a scientific approach to try and understand animal welfare better?
Looks after the welfare of animals.
Studies the welfare of animals?
I have no idea, I'm afraid.
Not too sure. I'm presuming they look at whether an animal feels emotions and tries to work out those type of questions, but
Researchers into animal welfare.
Basically we'll assess the behaviour and what their limits of housing and the space that they need, and just watching and seeing how they behave probably from a distance and seeing how they are in just a natural environment, and then put in more of a confined environment and see how differently they would react to that.
I suspect they would study the life cycle of an animal. That will that be a farmed animal? We'll have a need to study wild animals. I don't know if we'll necessarily look at wild animals. Let's study the process by which meat is produced and how the animal lives, the stages of its life. You could maybe tell me.
Not campaigns, that's perhaps the wrong word, but support the animals' rights, really.
Never really thought that, but probably sort of like similar sort of job as epidemiology, sort of looking like at the general big picture and see how trends work and what improves. I guess you'd be looking at performance parameters and things like that as a guide, and then look at studies and changing in houses and things like that and see how that affects.
Studies the behaviour of animals and what motivates animals.
They test using science and scientific criticism how an animal reacts to different situations and how the animals feel, in terms of science, like stress hormones or whatever, and how much they will fight for a certain thing. I don't really know, truthfully.
Research is better ways of improving animal welfare, looking after animals.
Really sure. Some kind of research into various animal welfare areas, how to improve welfare or evaluate the welfare of animals. Research into animal welfare.
Researches into how we may better animal welfare, but also what the current situation is in animal welfare.
studies how animals in a situation, whether they have good welfare, and how to improve that to make it as most like their natural state as you can.
An animal welfare scientist, I think, primarily does rigorous, high-quality research into the behaviour, the physiology, the immunology, all the different ologies that will enable us to provide a much better assessment of animal welfare. That's what science does. What you do with those results and how those results are played out in the real world is obviously where we get into compromises and where we get into policymakers and politicians. So while science does have a role to play, it can't provide all of the answers that we want.
What do you think an animal welfare scientist does?
Yeah, you put me on the spot there. I think she's a pretty girl who asks you damn fool questions. Do you want to cut that bit?
What would you do to change or improve animal welfare in farms?
And pillows, quilts, 3 course meals. I have no idea. I've never been on a farm for a year.
Do you believe animals feel emotion?
I hope so. I've got dogs. I mean, I'd like to think that they like me, you know, and...
Do you ever worry about food security in the future?
Not massively, but as you thinking about it, it is a growing problem. Because we've got so many more people coming into the country, we've got just a much bigger population growth, and things like the 50 Shades of Grey baby boom coming on and things like that. That might cause a problem. But yeah, it is something that will be more important in the future. I've thrown you now, haven't I?
Do you ever worry about food security in the future? No.
I never worry about that, no.
I would never have thought of that actually, but considering we're vets and we're going into kind of, and if I want to go into farm animal.
What or who do you think has been responsible for the biggest animal welfare changes in the UK so far?
Well, I'd like to think the master's students from the Applied Animal Behaviour and Animal Welfare programme that's been going for 22 years, because that would make me feel very happy. But I do think that the kind of the increase in awareness of animal welfare has certainly been brought about by having an awful lot more education in this area, and I think that the master's programme from Edinburgh certainly helped that.